Hola, from the west side. It is me, DCThePurpleDiva. Welcome to Not So Random Chat. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I see some folk have already dropped some stuff in the chat. T-Million. All right. So I hope I'll see you come back into the chat. Problem child. Y'all, I'm sorry, y'all. They're shooting fireworks where I live. Sorry about that. Hey, Tatted Heart. Hey, Problem Child. Anyway, hope everybody's having a good evening. Happy to report that today we didn't have a whole lot of problems, at least here on the west side. Very peaceful protests. We even got an extension in our jail time. Hey, Matt. No, it wasn't gunshots. They're outside shooting up fireworks. They start doing it on Memorial Day, and it goes on until Labor Day in this neighborhood, y'all. But we got a repeal. I mean, we actually had a 9 o'clock curfew tonight, y'all. And the sheriff's department said that they were going to give people until 10 o'clock before they started throwing folk in jail for not obeying the curfew. So, guess what? It's not 10 o'clock yet. But another thing that happened tonight, I don't know how many people saw this on social media, but here on the west side, we saw something on social media a little bit before 9 o'clock West Coast time that was asking people to go outside at 9 p.m. exactly and to flash flashlights up into the sky for 8 minutes to commemorate the time that George Floyd had somebody's knee in his neck. So we went outside and did that. Of course, on my street, there's not that many brown people that are black. Most of the brown people on the street are brown, like from Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. So yeah, they weren't doing nothing. I don't even think these people, care. But anyway, nonetheless, we were out there and we did the 8 minutes. And it, to stand out there for 8 minutes, and just think about how long it was. 8 minutes when you are timing it doesn't go by real fast. And you just have to think about how excruciating that was for George Floyd. The other good news today is that all 4 officers or former officers are in custody, y'all. They've all been arrested. And for the murderer, they have upped it to murder 2 from murder 3. So I think that is a good start, but people want like a fast trial. And from what legal folk are saying, sorry, y'all. From what legal folk are saying, sounds like it's a party in my neighborhood, doesn't it? But from what legal folk are saying, it's going to take like 12 to 18 months in order to vet out all the evidence, in order to present a trial that can get, a jury to be able to see beyond a reasonable doubt. Because that's what they're going to be shooting for. And I don't know if they're going to be able to give them the option for a lesser charge. Don't know. We also know that these people are probably going to go and try to get it taken out of the jurisdiction of Minneapolis. But we don't think that that's going to happen. We do not think that we are going to have another Rodney King trial. I don't think that's going to happen. Because in this instance, unlike with Rodney King in 92, this has gotten global attention. You're not going to go anywhere in the entire state of Minnesota where they haven't heard about this. So they're probably just not going to get that vantage point of it being moved out of Minneapolis, because the prosecution is going to be able to, prove to the judge that even though this has gotten international attention, that there's not going to find anyone who hasn't heard about it, but they should be confident that they can find a, jury that can look at the evidence objectively. I know, but just think about it, Matt. Even if they do get it moved out of Minneapolis, where are they going to go? That they're going to get a jury that hasn't heard about it. They're not. It's not going to happen. This is not going to be like 92. Oh, speaking of 92, one of the things that appears to be coming out of the peaceful protests in Los Angeles today is that they are going to take some of the budget from Los Angeles Police Department and put that money back into the communities, i.e. the communities of color. And they are going to, I guess, go through some things of getting, more people that are from the community, same thing that they had to go through in Ferguson after Michael Brown. It's just a damn shame that it's 25 years after Rodney King, and we've gone through so much here in Los Angeles. It's crazy that it took what happened with George right after Breonna and Ahmaud, doing this global health crisis, for it to be enough for something to, at least at this point, look like it's going to change. I was actually on the Zoom that was on Facebook today with 44. And, he said the same thing that, those of us, who have been talking about this are saying is that there definitely has got to be some reform in law enforcement. There has to be, and then, one of the things that I was also thinking about was that I'll just wait for that to finish. Okay. They're shooting those shooters up into the air. The ones that go up in the air and they burst into the starburst things. That's what they're doing. And it's like literally 2 houses down from my house, across the street. Yeah, well, they're taking money from LAPD. I don't think that the police chief was very happy about it, nor do I think that the police, police union or protection league or whatever it is, I don't think they're happy about it either. Because keep in mind, everybody's budget had already been cut. So I don't know what they're going to do, because right now, their argument is that we don't have enough law enforcement. Well, okay, if that's what you think. Sometimes you just have to operate on less. It's time for it. It's time for a change, because here's the thing. All this money that has been being poured into the law enforcement has not effectively changed things in a positive manner for Black people. We are profiled more. More of us can say that we've had a gun pulled on us by law enforcement. We all have to have these talks with our kids, including those of us who have children on the autism spectrum. I'm probably gonna depending on how my son is doing these days, because he's just being locked in the house is driving him nuts right now. But I think I may do part of that, in a video on camera for you guys to see as we go through the things, that he has to know if he is approached by a police officer, because it's real. And I think it would be an important thing for me to do, because my son is an adult with autism. And, people don't think about the fact that, I don't know, maybe they just don't think about the fact that, we got to have this conversation with our sons and daughters too, even if they are extremely autistic. Thankfully, my son is not, on the extreme autistic side. He's highly intelligent, and so I think it will be helpful for me to do some of that on camera for other parents to see. Hey, Miss Uppity Unicorn. You know what, Uppity? I wanna I'm thinking about us doing a panel, and I think I would want and talking about just foster care and our Black children. And then I also want to even add another layer about talking about some of those that are in special needs that are in foster care. But I'm going to work it out. And I will let you know once I worked out how we want to take that kind of conversation. Hey, Darren. It is a scary situation, Matt. But that's why I think that I'm going to, that's something I think I'm going to do a vlog on. Because it is a conversation that I'm having with him all the time. But I think that I should do part of that conversation, especially during the time that we're dealing with right now. Because, especially because we've got this change.org out there for Spectrum Protection 2020. And, it's, of course, obviously for all people on the spectrum, because let me just tell you, when it comes to people with autism that are adults, they get harassed by law enforcement, or they are mistreated by law enforcement a lot. It's unfortunately a fact, because they do not know how to, number one, always be able, they're not familiar with autism. They don't know how to identify it. They don't get proper training. They lump it under mental health. It's frustrating. But, regardless of whether my son had autism or not, this is still a conversation that I have to have with him. But because he is someone on the spectrum, it's an ongoing conversation. It's like I'm always having this conversation, because I'm always having to tell him to make sure he remembers, that it's part of it's that I basically drill it into him. And he's almost 25, but I still have to do it, because there's certain things that are part of his behaviors that could get him into a situation. I'm just going to be real about it, because all they're going to see is a black man, That's what they're going to see. And hey, AKA James. So, it's a deep time, because a lot of parents are re-sitting down with their kids right now. A lot of black parents, or parents who may not be black, but their children are, because their children are mixed, or they've adopted children who are black, all have to sit down and have this conversation with their children. Hey, Miss Mahogany. It's just a reality. But I just think that a lot of people are now going back and reevaluating and making sure that, their kids really know what it is that they need to do, because it's that kind of situation. Because we don't know what this crazy president's going to do. He keeps inventing laws to try to bully his way into doing whatever he wants to do. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating to me. I'm trying to respect the fact that you are the president, but please, don't treat us in this hostile manner. Because it's hostile. He wants a bloodbath. That's what he wants. And I believe there was some general in the military who was basically saying, you know, what he's trying to do, what he's talking about, they're not down with it. You know, because we know what Marines are trained for. No offense to anyone who is a former Marine or has Marines in their family, but we all know, you know, because that would be the military that would be called in. You know, he says the Army, but he's talking about the Marines because, you know, the Marines are such a badass part of the Army that it's like they're their own separate division of the armed forces. So, but yeah, they're trained to kill. They're not trained. They're not like the National Guard, who are here strictly to do relief, you know, of the officers who are doing, you know, 12-hour shifts and then having to come right back on. Totally different situation. Totally different situation. And there's no need for it, for what he wants to do. Because as you can see, the protest has been very peaceful, and they have been doing what it is that they need to do. Now, I think what the major issue is that what many people feel is that over the next 12 to 18 months that it's going to take to get these men to trial, that the motivation and stuff may start to dwindle. I don't think that it will, because I think that right now all eyes are on law enforcement. People are waiting for them to make any mistakes. And, you know, I believe that there's going to be some forced changes in some situations. And maybe some people need to go find them a new career, because maybe this is not going to be for them anymore. Because it should not be a free ticket to harass, you know, and target people of color. So if that's what the original purpose was it for, then hey, let's be like, and I hate to make this comparison, but it's real. Like Germany was after the Nazis, you know, tear everything down and rebuild it. Hey, T Million, did you come in? Did T Million come back? The BS Drew Brees was talking. Oh, Drew Brees was talking some mess in regards to Kaepernick? No, I didn't see that. Because all I saw were people who now are totally behind Kaepernick. They're totally, suddenly the light has gone on in their heads. They understand what this man was doing when he was out there on his own. Oh, is a Texas white boy and Trump. Oh, well, see, we can't even, you know, we can't even deal with Breeze, you know. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Drew Brees is, you know, New Orleans Saints, you know, quarterback. Don't even matter. He a Trump supporter, y'all. So that's why he would talk some craziness like that. Okay. But here's the thing. When Kaepernick was out there, he said what he was kneeling for because of the brutality of law enforcement against Black people. It wasn't no disrespect to the American flag. It was to get respect for our people. And he was dogged. He was put out of the NFL, lost his job, everything for this. So I bet they understand him now. Ain't nobody think about what Drew Brees had to say. He's a stupid ass. Straight up. Hey, Tutu Thing, Miss Pamela. Oh, LeBron James checked him? I bet he did. I bet LeBron did check him. I bet he did. Because that's a mess.
Yeah, he checked him hard. Reed, the Hall of Fame, got into his ass.
Oh, Ed Reed checked him too, Matt.
Hard.
Yeah, so I think he's just going to go sit down somewhere and shut up.
No, I don't think he'll be responding.
Yeah, I think they have rolled him up into, because if he said something about that, the first thing that's going to happen, did he do it on Twitter? Because if he did it on Twitter, Black Twitter is going to bury him.
He basically said he still don't have no respect for anybody that kneels against the flag.
They weren't kneeling against the flag, you ignoramus.
That's exactly.
He had no respect for people kneeling against the flag. They're not kneeling against the flag. You missed the entire concept. You don't even understand Drew Brees. Well, heck, that's because he's probably never been pulled over by the police. He's never been racially profiled. He don't know.
Quarterback, Texas white boy. He lived a privileged life.
Speaking of living a privileged life, have you guys seen this documentary on this chick, Elizabeth Holmes? The one who had the health company Thanos up in Northern California, who basically Edisoned everybody with her, pun intended, because her product was called an Edison machine. But she basically lied and frauded major people out of over $400 million because she is a white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Her name is okay.
Why you think all these young people out here protesting? Why you think they're out here protesting? The looting, I can see you speaking on the looting and saying that's bad, you don't support that. But why you think all these young people out here protesting? I really ain't got no more words for you, bro. You're a sucker, man. Straight BS, man. Straight BS. And for all my Saints fans, for all my New Orleans people who still like your ass just because they want to win games, y'all right with them. You understand? Drew Brees, you're a sucker. You're going to be a sucker. You understand? Punk, man. I'm going to just get straight to it.
That was a Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, putting him in his place. That was Ed Reed, for those who don't know. Yeah. I'm like, Drew Brees needs to go sit down somewhere. He really should. That's one of them things, that you know how you thinking something. He should have just kept thinking it and never let those fingers go on Twitter. He should have just not done it. Matt says he's done with the Saints. I mean, my family's, from New Orleans, y'all. My mama, and her peoples and everything. But yeah, I'm not feeling Drew Brees. Not particularly anymore. He can go suck an egg.
That's the smartest move there, Breezy.
Oh, but I bet his friend. I want to know what his friend Ellen DeGeneres is going to say about that, because y'all know a whole lot of nasty things have come out about her during the pandemic. That she's not such a nice person. But I digress. Let's get back to Drew and his stupidity. Yeah, by tomorrow, he will be buried under his Twitter account by Black Twitter. And people gonna say stuff. And they're gonna go be all over Instagram talking about him too. Rodney King's daughter spoke tonight. Really? Wow. Did you guys hear George Floyd's daughter? They interviewed her, and she was talking about, and she doesn't really understand, but she says her father has changed the world, and she misses him. Yeah, Ellen, man, I'm so disappointed in her. And my son really likes her. I mean, I liked her. I thought she was cool and everything. And find out all this about her, that's just not cool. She treats her staff like crap and everything. Man. Hope she ain't, doing any mean stuff to Twitch. I like Twitch. Yeah, the little girl, she said she wants to be a doctor when she grows up. She wants to help people. Cute little girl. I think she's like 6 or 7, something like that. Oh yeah, people are showing you who they really are. I mean, you can go through your Facebook friends and see who's talking and who's not. Who's being absolutely silent. And I post something here and there, because when on my Facebook, I'll post things. Most of my posts are about autism, but I've posted some things during this time, because why wouldn't I? I'm telling you, giving me PTSD, of 1992. I'm just glad that none of that stuff is really coming down into South Central, because let me give y'all my 1992 riots story, okay? So, my late, well, was it 92? 92 or 94? I swear it was in 94, but they keep saying 92, so we'll go with that. My late nephew was drafted in the NFL the same month as the riots happened. So the riots literally happened probably like days after the draft. I lived in the San Fernando Valley at that time. My ex-husband and I drove down to LA, and we were coming down Adams. No, we were coming down Western, We were coming down Western, and we were at the corner of Western and Adams, and they were throwing Molotov cocktails. They were trying to burn stuff. And my ex was like going to stop at the light. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Keep going. Keep going. And we like hauled and got to his sister's house where his nephew was, you know, and my nephew had, like, he had bought him a brand new, like, Mercedes, because, you know, that's what, you know, what you do when you just went in the first round of NFL. But let me explain something to you. His mama still lived in South Central, right off of Jefferson, you know, where some of the craziness was going on. So when all that stuff was going on, while Crenshaw was being burned, I decided to go to Santa Barbara for the weekend, get away from it. So the thing that I'm happy about, y'all, is that they did not come down there and burn down the hood, you know. And I believe that Governor Newsom, sorry about that, oven's going off. Governor Newsom actually came down to Los Angeles and was in the Leimert Park area, which is close to, you know, Crenshaw Boulevard. And, you know, he was just walking around to see, you know, how things were in that part of Los Angeles, since, you know, that's where most of the disparities with the law enforcement are. But one good thing that did come out of that also today with LAPD was that they are not going to be putting anybody else into the gang unit system for the next 90 days. And that's going to be good, because that's the thing. They label people gang affiliated, even if they aren't, and you don't want to have that tag on you. Oh, there's a Latin King situation in Chicago. What I thought was an M15 and the Latin Kings. Oh, the Latin Kings. Hey, Elise. Thanks for coming through. Thank you. Yeah, this is crazy. Oh, that's another thing. But I have been proud of seeing my Greeks out there protesting. You know, I've seen some alphas out there. I believe that was in Atlanta, but here in some of the protests being interviewed here in Southern California was in Pasadena were some Deltas, and I knew them because they were part of Pasadena alumni. I used to be part of the Pasadena alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. Yeah, we want a life for a life. Well, we got 4 of them in jail right now. We'll see what happens. I don't think that they're going to be up for do they even have capital punishment in Minnesota? I don't even know if they do. But they have them as murder too. And unless they can prove some special circumstances, it's not going to be eligible for that, even if they do have that in that specific state. But yeah, it's been nice to see, you know, members of the Divine Nine out there in the protest representing, you know, in a positive manner, young and old, because I've seen, you know, younger members of some of the Greek organizations, and I've seen, you know, some of the older people like me. Yeah, they finally upgraded the charges today. But I believe they only upgraded them. Well, you know what? I think they upgraded them on him. I don't know if those are the same charges that they're putting on the other three. But I'm going to assume that they all are in there for murder too, because they're all involved in what happened. Yeah, and the thing, yeah, I believe I believe it was a hate crime, but I think that because we're talking about, unfortunately, you know, because of them being law enforcement, it's harder to prove. It's harder to prove that it's a hate crime, you know. But you know, I believe the state is doing the investigating in this, you know, and if they do, in fact, see that there's a hate crime involved in it, or are able to show the proof of it or get some proof of it, then it'll go to the feds, because that's a federal offense.
Look at the effect it had on the American people. So
you know, so if it gets to that, you know, man,
they should change the laws to make it so, because they would have done it. Look at this scenario. What if the cop? What if the cop was black and he did that to a white man?
I know.
Whole different system of justice.
I know. I mean, but the thing is that we when you look at this, this particular scenario, the officers were not black, and the man was black. But there've been situations where, I mean, shoot, those students in Georgia, those were black officers tasing them, acting a freaking fool. You know, but they've got to prove special circumstances in order to make it a capital case. I mean, right now, from my perspective, it appears that they have their work cut out for them in order to do that. You know, because nobody seems to really know what the relationship, the prior relationship was between the officer and George Floyd, because they worked at the same place. No one's talking about what that was. Maybe that's, you know, maybe they have that information and it's part of the case that they're building. I don't know. I'm just saying. It just seems very eerie to me and suspicious to me that this particular man used to work with the person who murdered. So, I mean, I guess you got to see what the state is looking at, but see, even with the hate crime, if the family goes after them for a hate crime, if that does not get included in this, they would still have to wait until after they go through the criminal proceedings to go after them in a civil suit, if that doesn't become part of it. But it's hard to prove that the hate crime part, even though to us it seems obvious, it's hard to prove that that's what it was. But, you know, several of these officers, like I said, have a history of aggression with Black, you know, suspects. Tao, he killed somebody already. Another Black man. Yeah, they had a large crowd today in downtown LA. They were talking about it was like thousands. I mean, yesterday, I think it was like 3,000. Today, they were estimating it was closer to 6 or 7. And they were peaceful. And I think that in a large part played into why the curfew was pushed back in Los Angeles County to 9 o'clock. Because 6 o'clock was ridiculous. People, you know, people were having to get off work early and, you know, trying to be killing themselves to get home by 6. You know, and stores having to close at 6, people not being able to get to the store to get things because of the 6 o'clock. It was just crazy. So now 9 o'clock is more reasonable. That allows, you know, most of the stores to be, you know, like grocery stores are already closing at 8. You know, they've been closing early, you know, because of, you know, COVID. So, but now they're the stores are able to at least be open until 8 o'clock. You know, so people can get off work and get to their homes. And 9 o'clock is a more reasonable time if you must impose a curfew. Yeah, they got to look. That's what they're looking for. It's got to be reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt, they have to find him guilty. And like I said, we don't know if they are going to allow them to give them a lesser verdict. But they put a whole bunch of different things under that with that murder too. The state is putting other things around it. So it looks, they're not putting all their eggs in the basket of just the murder too. They're putting other things in there with it. I don't remember all the charges, but yeah, it was a bunch of them. Yeah, they didn't have any premeditated, and I don't think that would be very, very hard to prove unless they can establish what the heck the relationship was between those two men when they worked together. You know, because it's not uncommon for, you know, cops to side gig doing security. You know, cops don't make that kind of money until, you know, they really move up in the police force. I don't even know how old this officer was, or is rather. They all look to be like in their 30s. Hey, Cass Life. You know what, Cass? I'm going to email you. I'm going to email you about what we talked about, about the real estate. I was thinking about you today, and I'm like, I need to email Cass. Hey, Terry. I sure was thinking about you today. But I definitely have I have 2 videos that I'm going to be putting up in regards to around this. One is going to be the one just talking about the things that I talked about in last night's video, about things that, you know, need to be discussed with someone who is Black and autistic in regards to everything that's going on. And then the other one I'm going to be doing is I'm going to sit down with my son, and I'm actually going to have that discussion with him on camera it's going to be a short video, but just, with him, repeating the things that he needs to do. So believe me, it's going to be a lot to get that on camera for y'all. But I think it's important because, it's real for me, being the parent of someone who has autism. It's real. I have to have that same conversation that every other parent has, but I just have to keep having that conversation over and over and over, because my son is not the most talkative person. If he was one of those chatterbox autistics, then, I will be sure that it's always, getting in. But with him, yeah, no, you have to just keep making sure you say it over and over and over so that he knows it, so that you make sure that he does the right kind of responses. So I think that will be an educational thing, to share on the channel. Both of them, I think, will be. Yeah, but a lot of people are worried, Pamela. They're really worried that, in a couple of weeks, people aren't going to be thinking about this. But I just don't think that that's the case. Maybe you could have said that back in the 90s, when we didn't have, with Rodney King, but this has gotten so much larger. It's become a global thing. So, I think that the peaceful protests are going to continue until changes happen where they need to happen. Especially because, unfortunately, a lot of people are not working. They don't, they're out of work right now. So they have the time to assemble and do these protests. How you doing tonight, Terry? Things cool up there in your neck of the woods? I know it's been pretty cool, every place pretty much that I've been checking for the most part. It appears that all the idiots decided to stay home today. I know it was very warm here, so, maybe they decided to stay in the air conditioning rather than come out in the heat. But it's supposed to starting to get it's supposed to get a few degrees cooler as the week goes on. I don't know. But like a couple of days ago, you guys, because the weather, at least here, it keeps changing so much and the pollen and stuff is starting to get in the atmosphere. Man, I just walked like a couple of blocks and I could barely breathe. And it was, it's like stuff, and I had my mask on, so then I took the mask down, but still, and I think it was just crap is starting to get in the air for the summer, and it's driving my sinuses crazy. Yeah, but I'm glad that it's quiet. I'm glad, because we did not need those distractions. I was, glad to do the virtual 8 minutes of silence for George. Real simple thing to do at 9 o'clock tonight. Just was outside for 8 minutes, shining my flashlight up into the air. Yep, that's what we were doing. We were tutu thing. We were outside for the 8 minutes that man had his knee in this man's neck. That's what we were doing. The least that I could do, since I'm not going downtown to those. And I mean, I had thought about doing like a 8-minute silent video for him. I've seen a few people do that. But I'm just really, really hoping that the changes that are being spoken about in law enforcement around the country become a reality. Because I would like for our children to not live in fear. I really would. I really would like them to not live in the fear that we live in. Especially because my son's chocolate, y'all. Y'all see my chocolate son. So, he's a chocolate man. White people are being nice to you today, Darren. I bet. And see, y'all, I mean, I work with a lot of white people, but we don't see each other. We have conference calls, we have Zoom meetings, and nobody's coming on camera because we all working from home. But my neighborhood is black and brown. There's like there's like a couple of older white people that live in the neighborhood, but for the most part, black and brown. Now, my old neighborhood where I used to live, that was a much more diverse neighborhood. I liked that neighborhood. I owned that house for like over 15 years. My son grew up in that house. And that was a very diverse neighborhood. And I lived in one of those cities where the police department, they're usually there in like 2 minutes. That's where I used to live. Now, for the most part, thankfully, I don't see a lot of police activity on my street, which is a good thing. To me, we don't need none of that. The last time I saw somebody was, doing the stay-at-home orders, and people were outside acting stupid. Police came, calmed it down. You're getting phone calls from people. Oh, that's hilarious, Darren. Well, what's funny to me, what I was saying is that I see the ones who don't say nothing on Facebook, because we all have friends who are not the same color as us, and you just watch the ones who have something to say and the ones who are like on silent, like silent. And I'm watching, and then just to be fair, because maybe Facebook is acting funny and just not showing their stuff in my my news feed, I go to their pages nada. You know, like their head is in the sand as to what's going on, or maybe you just don't give a damn. Thank you. He is a good looking young man. He knows it too. He knows he's nice looking. He's always looking at his freaking face in the mirror. Yeah, he knows he's good looking. ABOs and AAs are not the same. Oh, ADOS? Well, you know, I'm just black, so I mean, supposedly we're Hispanic, but but it's still black. That's what I keep trying to tell people. I said, oh, they have the Cuban part of my family, still black. Matter of fact, darker, black. They just speak Spanish, but they still black. You know, so it's crazy because it's still black. Hey, Health, Weight, and Real Talk. Haven't seen you in a minute. Oh, the Aboriginals. Are you talking about the Aborigines? Oh, Australians, yeah. Yeah, that is true. And it's not the same. Because, you know, as far as I know, you know, I mean, you know, the Aborigines walked across, you know, when everything was all one. And then when it broke apart, they were on that part, away from the rest of us. And they evolved differently. So they wouldn't be considered, you know, the same as us because they're considered native to Australia. You don't see them I know, Terry. I'm just hoping that we get some, you know, some relief. I mean, one of the things that they did show is that they have had some changes in the city of Ferguson, Missouri. So what I'm hoping is that this starts to make there be change in a lot of places. I don't think it's going to change it everywhere. I really don't. But I want it to change it in as many places as it can. And then hopefully it'll start to force it in those places that just simply do not want to change. And as I said before, you know, if they do the right reforming, there'll be people who will discover that, you know, maybe this is just not going to be the right job for them going forward, because we need to, you know, tear down what law enforcement job is, you know, today versus what it should be going forward, so that they're not systematically profiling our people, period. I know Ferguson just did that. They just got that for a woman. Yep, it's a black woman that's the mayor of Ferguson now. So that is a change for them. I mean, you know, but see, cities like LA have had a black mayor. But here's the thing. Tom Bradley, rest in peace, was ex LAPD. So let's just be real about it. Okay? In their situation, she's not coming out of law enforcement. She's really from the people. So I think that is going to continue to help with the change. But you know, when Bradley was mayor of LA, man, that's back in the Batarang days of Daryl Gates. It is deep seated, Terry. It is. You know, I'm gonna come on camera, you guys, because I'm about to get off. Let me just come on so you guys can see me. Hey everyone. Oh, here comes David. Here comes David, y'all. Told y'all. Yeah, he just waits until I come on camera, because that's all he wants to do is come in here so y'all can see him. Wave at everybody. Say hey, you two.
Hey, you too.
All right. Is that good for you?
That's good for you. Okay.
All right. See, there you go. Hey, cool gent. But yeah, thank you guys for coming through. I'm glad today was a positive day, you know, with no looting, so to speak, and just peaceful protests around, you know, the country, around the world. That's the only way, at least I feel, that we're going to start to see any semblance of what we want. I don't think we're going to get everything that we want, but I think that some cities are trying to move in the right direction. So I'm going to get off of here, y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm going to be working on these videos in the next couple of days. I've started on the one, but not finished with it yet. But I will see you guys. So tomorrow, until then, peace and blessings from the West Side, you guys. Everybody be safe. Be safe. Be safe. All right. Bye, y'all.